starting out so small. So small. How's it going? How y'all feeling? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. All right. What? That's not correct. What is happening? Is X giving me X is giving me bizarre numbers. But maybe. Hey, what's up everybody? If you're watching me on X, very good. Thanks for being here. Oh, yes, I'm getting in an old school Twitter fight over progressives and whether we should vote for saviors and stuff. It's awesome. Thanks for being here. I'm not really into those fights anymore, by the way, or those arguments. I do think that I do think I am of the mind that we should do something. And I even would be into voting for someone, but the problem is that the system is so messed up right now. Even if you voted a really good person, and it doesn't mean that they're going to stay there, or that they're not themselves going to be corrupted by the very system that we have right now. And I don't know what the answer is, but something like political pressure from the outside combined with the ability to vote somebody in and have them continue to be in that position without being forced. It's really tough though, because it's, the entire staff of Congress up to the president is right now, owned by AIPAC and or whatever you want to call it, the cartel. Whatever that is, the military industrial complex cartel, the intelligence community cartel, they are all wholly owned by this cartel. And so I don't know how you get rid of the cartel. Like, I think that you could probably vote people in that could do something, but the cartel is in the way. So what do you do about that? How do you get rid of the cartel? You have to push back in other ways. I think that is what I think in my mind. And pushing back is not going to be easy or fun or, not necessarily going to be healthy, good for anyone's health. It's going to be bad for your health to push back. And so remember when we had like people that stood up to power and they fully knew that they could die doing that? Like, that's how you have to actually feel. It's not, voting is not going to do it. Like, if you think that you can just, put a sign on your lawn and go out and vote for the right person, that you did something or that you are saving the system or changing no, you are absolutely hallucinating as a human being. What has to happen is that people need to get together in a physical way, in a physical mass, and join together and be ready to feel some pain. Like when you go on strike and you might not have any money to buy food or pay your mortgage, or, you might actually have people go after you. Like, you have to be ready to do that kind of stuff. That is the system. That is how bad the system we are in right now. That's how bad it is. So I don't know. Can we talk about climate change now? Well, then there's that. Then there's the fact that there's not, it won't be long until it will be difficult to actually do any business as usual. But I mean, hey, the climate is always changing, bro. You know what they say. Oh, so anyways, it does seem that some is going wrong at the White House. Something is up with Trump, and there's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of stuff going on around Trump. They were supposed to make an announcement at 2 p.m. Eastern today, and did anybody see an announcement? I didn't see an announcement. So the whatever they were supposed to say is somebody saying that the White House is blocked off by police at every angle right now. Is this his announcement right here? This is not today. Is this today? I don't know. Did anybody see the White House announcement today? I was looking and looking and looking and looking. I could not find it. You think the high security around the White House is fine? Anyway, so let's go through some of these things. Oh, there is a lot. He's live right now. Okay, thanks, Bola. Yeah, because it was late. It was late. Let's see. Where is it? I'm just checking in. That's all. Okay, so they're live right now. I see. Okay. Oh, so the announcement is about the U.S. Space Command moving to Alabama. Okay. This is the big news. All right. Well, I guess that looks like Trump, and I guess he looks alive. Yeah, maybe they pumped him full of enough Adderall or whatever to get it together today. He's talking about sending troops to Chicago. Good Lord. Well, in related news, a judge ruled that sending troops to LA was illegal. All right, we're going to look at this. Just go through this real quick. Trump's health is not well. There's people are talking about the bruising on his hands. White House insiders say he frequently mentions heaven. If you remember, he talked about wanting to be allowed into heaven. That's why he wanted a peace deal with Russia. Anyways, this was it was supposed to start at 2 today, and they were a bit late. Somebody says they won't be releasing the Epstein files for sure. Is he? I wonder. I'm trying to hold on one second. I want to go back to this. There were pictures of him. They were saying that looked like he was shaved bald. Does this look like a toupee? Like a complete toupee? To you? Anybody? I mean, it looks like his hair, but maybe not. Maybe that's just a cap. What is wrong with Vance's face? Okay. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to show you? Would you like to see the picture I'm looking at? I mean, it looks like his hair. Is that a complete wig? It doesn't look like it. First, we get this image of Trump that looks like he's been shaven bald and looking like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. This does look like he's bald. Then all roads leading into Walter Reed Hospital are currently closed and have been since last night. Now we see there's an announcement today too. Anyways, a lot of people are going on and on about this. There's nothing to stop them, Denver, and that seems to be a big topic of discussion. And the reason why this is, the reason why this is frightening is because you start to have like yeah, nothing is stopping them from doing this. What you start having, like in the president was set with Biden and Kamala, right? And I feel like that was very intentional to lead people to a position where they were like, sure, just switch them out. Yes, she was the vice president, but just switch out the nominee for president without a vote, without anybody, having a say in this. Nobody had a say in it anyways, because there was not a primary. They basically did away with the primary. It was a sham of a primary before Biden was switched out. So they just, they're dispensing with the pretense of caring what you have to say about anything or who's doing what or who's in charge more and more and more, right? And so the precedent was set with, Biden and Kamala. You have these aging octogenarian presidents who, are losing their health or their mental capacity very quickly. And the idea that you could just switch them out, and it's just, it's the same or even better, it's even better now, right? Like it's not, that's what they're trying to sell people. The problem is that everybody knows, or should know, that JD Vance is a product of Peter Thiel and several other donors. His rising to the position that he's in was enabled by very wealthy and powerful people who, the same people were pretty much calling the shots behind the scenes behind Trump. So I don't know how it makes really any difference when people are like, oh no, they're going to put Vance in, then it's going to be worse. I don't see how it could be any different. Trump is a complete puppet and a stooge of all of these people and AIPAC, right? And how would Vance is a complete puppet and a stooge of all these people in AIPAC? It's not any different. It's just that we have a long time to hang out with Vance, right? Kamala was only a couple of months. We have a long time to hang out with Vance and see what the heck happens or what goes down. Yeah, I was in a moderate. I'm in a moderate debate with some people about progressives on Twitter, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, go ahead and get your hopes up again. Go for it. I don't, do you have to relive, 2016 and 2020 and do you have to keep doing this over? How many times do you have to do this to understand that you're not going to lift, somebody up into power who's going to save you? Not like that. Not that way. Not through the Democratic Party. No way. No freaking way. Didn't Bernie already show you that? Didn't Bernie already show you that he was a complete coward and a cuck? Didn't you get the message? Don't you see that all of the squad are completely sold out? Craven, corrupt sellouts. Don't you get it? Don't you get it yet? But these people are like, oh yeah, here comes another guy talking about their oligarchs are bad. He's a new face. He's just another cardboard cutout. Jesus, man, wake up. Recollections may vary. Anyways, this is why this is, concerning. One more. Yes, I am actually playing a video from Harry Sisson, but it has information in it. So here we go.
So we have some more new photos of Donald Trump today in the midst of all these rumors circulating about his health. And still, these photos are not reassuring whatsoever. He doesn't look good. You might have seen this one by now. This was earlier this morning when he was leaving for his golf club in Virginia. And again, like, he just doesn't look healthy. And when you zoom in on that photo in particular, it just looks even worse.
It doesn't look like he has any hair. Where's his mop of hair? It's not there. So he must be wearing that's a complete wig. That must be a complete like toupee, the whole thing, or a wig. We'll call it a wig. Precious metal. I did see that. I
don't think, regardless of your political affiliation, anybody can look at this photo and think, yeah, he's fully up to the job of president of the United States. Then a photo was captured of him on the way back from the golf club in Virginia in the car. You can kind of see him right there in the back waving. But again, once you zoom in, he just does not look good. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think in the comments about these photos and what's going on behind the scenes. But I do want to reiterate, like, I don't believe Trump is secretly on his deathbed and his health has deteriorated so much in the past 5.
Okay. Let's go, Brandon. Turtorama. Yeah. I mean, he's apparently rumors of his demise are greatly exaggerated. What's up, Victory Jan? Reposting the stream. Extra Bulla reposting the stream on X. Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you. On top of all that, somebody is throwing stuff out of a White House window. This is weird. Somebody's lost it. Somebody's mad. Somebody has. What's going on?
You got another one? Yeah, let's stay in that little outhouse on the end. Oh, somebody there, right?
Are you still seeing this?
Oh, there you go.
You see that?
You got it? You zoomed in?
What are they throwing out the window?
I guess that's one way to clean out. This is crazy, man. I didn't know we were going to get a whole TV show.
Is this just, are they just throwing out donations for the Goodwill? Is this quicker than the elevator? I don't know. Items packed with Israeli, but it's a very weird, I mean, that is a trip. That's a trip. Not suspicious at all. Yeah, I think that Trump is going to find more resistance to the troop thing in other cities. And I'm sorry, the people who are like, well, crime is way down in Washington, D.C. Like, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? If you think that the imposition of like martial law and having troops on the street and, having your rights basically suspended and the rights of others suspended is somehow a good thing because, boy, you really don't like the crime that they're telling you about on the news in DC. Like, come on, man. Come on. But, never underestimate the stupidity of people to support shit like this. It's okay. my views come from a long line of very cynical people like George Carlin and Bill Hicks and whatnot. Okay, so federal judge has ruled Trump's deployment of the military to LA is illegal. Well, no shit, it is illegal. That's not news. It's absolutely illegal. I mean, you don't really need a judge to rule it illegal. It is illegal. He says Trump is banned from creating a national police force with the president as its chief. Struck down. Well, yeah. No, Gavin Newsom is not winning. He's not winning anything. Is that the plan, though, is to have like Vance, Newsom in 28? And then people are going to be like, that JD Vance, he's weird. You just get us a good-looking Democrat in here. Let's go Newsom. It'll be Newsom and whatever the progressive is that they're pushing up. All the progressives are pushing up right now, right? In the primary, they'll be like, here's this young upstart talking about the oligarchs. He's going to challenge Newsom, and then they're going to be like, yeah, but if you don't vote Newsom, then Vance is going to win. You know the script. You know the script. Vance is really evil. He's like, the second coming of Hitler. And if you don't vote for Newsom, then you're voting for Hitler, basically. So, give up on your progressive dreams, hopes, and dreams. We really do need Medicare for all, but, we need to vote down Hitler first. Okay. So, you'll see 3,000 of those videos. Over exactly and over again. It never ends. My apologies to any progressives watching right now, but there are enough, just newbies out there to believe in this mess and to play along with it again, one more time. And I wish I knew what the answer was. I'm kind of at a loss. I'm kind of at a loss for answers about that. Poppy says it's official. The largest professional organization of scholars studying genocide said Monday that Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza. Exactly. Again, tell us more things that we already know. Guys, they can't. Yeah, exactly. But speaking of Israel, let's get a really factual and informational rundown on the Palestine situation. This guy kind of gives you a little historical bump. Here you go.
I have never heard of Palestine. At least I didn't until like a year ago. I wasn't raised Jewish. My family isn't Jewish. So to me, October 7th kind of felt like it came out of nowhere. And it wasn't until I started looking into it that I realized that it didn't come out of nowhere. This has been happening for the last 80 years. So I wanted to go over a history of Israel in case there's anyone out there who, like me, had no idea what was going on. For the sake of this video, let's start at the end of World War II. In 1947, the United Nations got together with the goal of creating a home for Jewish people. The UN voted and agreed that they would use portions of land in Palestine to make a Jewish state. It's worth mentioning that Palestine did not have a say in this. They were not a voting member of UN, so this just happened to them without them having any say in it. After the land partitions were agreed in Palestine, armies moved in to
I mean, let's just stop right there and say that was colonialism 101. That was kind of like, kicking indigenous people off their lands. in the U.S. or anywhere else, for that matter.
Forcibly remove all of the Palestinians that were living on the land that was meant for a Jewish state. In 1948, 750,000 Palestinians were kicked out of their homes to make room for a Jewish state. Palestinians called this event the catastrophe, or in their words, the Nakba. Around this same time, Israel formally declared itself a country. Almost immediately, the Israeli armies started to try to take land away from the Palestinians, moving into the areas that the UN had set aside for an Arab state. The only areas that they weren't able to capture were the West Bank, which was an area at that time controlled by the Jordanian government, and the Gaza Strip, which was controlled by the Egyptian government. Jordan and Egypt were able to maintain control of these specific areas until 1967, when Israel launched an assault on both the West Bank and Gaza to capture these lands from the different governments. This point in time is called the Six-Day War. Israel was largely successful. They were able to annex the West Bank from the Jordanian government, and they were able to capture Gaza from the Egyptian government. At this point, the UN is pissed because now the Palestinians have no land. So they immediately passed a resolution that essentially said that Israel was supposed to get out of the West Bank and also Gaza, something that Israel did not do. This went on for 7 more years until in 1974, the UN finally recognized the Palestinian Liberation Organization as the official government of Palestine. Israel did not like this move, so they
remember the lazy, hazy, crazy days of the PLO and Yasser Arafat? Those were good times.
Sought to undermine the Palestinian government. So what they did was they started funding different political organizations inside of the West Bank and Gaza in an attempt to have a destabilized government within Palestine. I want you to remember this because this is very important and it does come back to bite Israel later. So even though the UN recognized the Palestinian government and told Israel to get out of the West Bank and Gaza, Israel still continued to send people into Palestinian land as settlers to go capture land from the Palestinians and live there. Palestinians eventually revolted against the Israeli government in a huge uprising, or in their words, an intifada. In 1987, the first intifada happened. Palestinians revolted against the Israeli government.
Intifada, which is basically kind of what we need now to in the U.S. in order to get rid of the people in power in Congress.
Government and tried to take back their land from the Israelis. In response to this, the United States tried to broker peace between the Palestinians and the Israelis in what are called the Oslo Accords. But once again, Israel refused to abide by the Oslo Accords and continued to occupy Palestinian land. I think you're kind of getting a theme here. So in 2000, a second uprising happened, a second intifada. But this time, one of the governments that Israel had been funding to undermine the Palestinian Liberation Authority actually succeeded in kicking out Israel from Gaza. That political organization calls themselves Hamas. Israel literally funded Hamas in hopes of undermining the current Palestinian government. Israel hated this. So what they did was they blockaded all of Gaza. They restricted all movement in and out of Gaza. They built a wall around the entirety of the West Bank and monitored all the civilians that were living in there. They restricted who went in and out and what food goes in and out. This starvation of Gazans hasn't just been happening since October 7th. It's been happening for the last 17 years. And that brings us to today, where Gazans are still being starved by the Israeli government. Movement in and out of the West Bank and Gaza is severely restricted. Israeli settlers are still going onto Palestinian land and taking it for themselves and kicking out the Palestinians. This isn't a war. This is a brutal, well-funded army launching full-scale assaults on civilians, all while using your American tax dollars. The Palestinians have a right to live in peace. Israel is systematically cleansing Palestinians from their homeland to try to take it for themselves. They are committing a genocide. We, as American citizens, can no longer accept American politicians defending Israel. This must end.
Right. It was a little long, but worth the message, right? Let's see. Speaking of which, here's some more history. This is shorter.
Will ever have. Okay, my first 2 customers. I've just had the best start to a work day I think I've ever had and will ever have. Okay, my first 2 customers this morning were Israeli men asking if we had any literature specifically about Jerusalem, and I got to say, yeah, we do. If you can't read backwards, that says Dr. Robinson's biblical research in. Yes, Palestine. Yeah, they weren't happy. They were not happy. And I was specifically even less happy when I whipped out the second volume in it and showed them that date. No, that's not the print date. The print date is 1856. Yeah, so what? Almost like 100 years before your sham ethno-state was founded? Literally 10 out of 10 would recommend pissing off Israelis first thing in the morning. I've just had the best start to a work day I think I've ever had and will ever have.
Michael says, pretty sure most people do not involve themselves in politics. Well, I think they try to do it as little as possible. It is kind of like Americans taking native land. This is an old playbook. It's called the colonial playbook. It's called We Drink Your Milkshake. It's the oldest playbook in the book. In the land. The idea that we are powerless is the best propaganda. Absolutely, man. I'm telling you. And I just was thinking about the deep state when I was saying, we need to somehow get rid of the people in Congress or get rid of people who are corrupted and controlled. Like, I don't know about the deep state. They try to tell us that the deep state is the people that hold political office outside of the election cycles, right? The people that, continue to hold these positions. Probably a good example is Fauci, right? Is a good example of like the deep state, somebody who continues to hold political office and wield political power and monetary power and policy power, for decades through several presidencies. Another person could be somebody like Donald Rumsfeld or even Dick Cheney, right? Somebody who is in and out. Why am I totally blanking on his name? The guy who was political Oliver North, maybe. I'm totally stuck on what's his name? His daughter is on Morning Joe. Is that his daughter? What the hell is his name? Why am I completely blanking out? Anyways, I think you know what I'm talking about. The man who talked like this. Brzezinski. Yes. Thank you. People like that, who are very powerful people within the government and can, weave in and out and never really hold political office, but hold Zabignew. Kissinger, thank you. Kissinger is also. Brzezinski is one. Brzezinski is another one. But Kissinger is the person I was really trying to find. Henry Kissinger, right? People who never hold office, but go in and out, right? Yeah, I don't think the deep state are people that are actually like just workers, though. That, and they tried to make that kind of a theme, like during the Doge era, which was only like 2 months long, right? Getting in and like getting rid of all these, people who hold government positions and right, just regular people who hold government positions. Like, that's not the deep state, bro. That is not the deep state. The deep state are powerful people who are above elected officials who run policy, above elected officials, above government workers, right? And I would say that they are people who are, beholden to much more powerful monetary forces, right? Like, you could call them lobbyists, but it's too tame of a word. Because they're the lobbyists, they're the above ground lobbyists, in Washington. They're, run in and out and talk to people and lobby for, the certain unions and groups and blah, blah, blah. Like, there are those kind of lobbyists. And then there are the lobbyists that, you don't know the names of. The lobbyists who have secret meetings, the lobbyists who don't show up at the White House or other institutions to have meetings about like what they want to see done. No, there are lobbyists that control policy and influence what goes on in the world that are, that move much more silently. That's the deep state. But I would have to say, if there's a visible deep state, it's literally Congress critters. It's literally the people that are owned and controlled, the people that cannot like do anything for you. The people that do everything for these, secret lobbyists, but cannot do anything for you. That's a real problem. These people are a real problem. And until you can find a way to get people in positions of power, or enough people in positions of power so that they can form a power block and say like, no, this isn't happening. We're not letting you do this. This isn't going down. I mean, there was a lot of talk at one time about the power of the Tea Party, as even though they are on the right and people disliked them because they are on the right, people said this was one of the few times in recent history where a group of Congress people got into office and successfully pressured people out of office, successfully pressured for policy, whether you like that policy or not. And those are the kinds of examples that people need to, you can get people into power like the Squad. You can actually get those people elected. But unless those people are willing to band together and actually steer policy in a certain direction, you can't get anything done. And for whatever reason, the Squad has not been able to do that. The Squad is a fraud. The Squad is a fraud. And one person in Congress is not going to do it. You need like several people, you need enough people to get in there, 10 or so or more, 10 or 20 that are going to be able to, right, push policy changes and form a blockade and really, go against the tide. Like, that's what it's going to take. And that's not very many Congress people, but like, how do you make sure that, if these people don't do what you want them to do, you have to be able to pull the plug. Like, why is AOC still in office? Why was Nancy Pelosi in office for so long? Right there, because these people are corrupt critters. AOC is now officially a corrupt critter. Somehow she's figured out how to work the system and work the election magic and stay in office. But you need to be able to get those people in there, make sure they do what you want. And if they don't do what you want, you vote them the heck out. Like, that's, I feel like that if we're going to talk about voting making a difference, that has to be the playbook. The playbook has to be get a progressive in office, get several progressives into office and hold them accountable. Make sure that they frickin' lose the moment that they don't do what you want them to do. That's the only thing I can see working. The Democratic Party could change the demands. Liberty poles were erected to signal a meeting against the British. Okay. Seligman is all about brainwashing people and propping up fascism. He's one of the mind hackers successfully hacking the public mind. Which Seligman? Who are you talking about, Denver? Oh, I see. I'm going back. Seligman is the world's most influential psychologist in the world. He's the guy behind learned helplessness. Wow. Wow. He's also one of the guys funded and connected to Epstein. Whoa. Okay, hold on. Let me go back. Sorry, I missed these. Satan has a right to defend himself. You know, Satan is really an angel. He's just a fallen angel. So, you know, Satan is a product of trauma. So cut him some slack, okay, will you? Satan is just going through some things. Martin Seligman. Okay. Dems are a perpetual lame duck. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter, like the party, or, you know, obviously it would be helpful to have a third party. It'd be helpful to have several parties that could do something. But I mean, I feel like that's one of the things they have us locked into right now, is that, you know, you have to be in one of the two parties, and the two parties are completely owned. So that there's that obstacle. There are many obstacles to actually getting anything done in Congress. And that's very strategic, right? They have all of these things set up that make it really difficult to go against what the deep state really wants, which is, you know, perpetual war and enslavement of humanity. By the way, guys, if you like this show, if you want to see the show continue to go and to come to you for free 99 Monday through Friday, if you want to support the show, there are lots of ways to do it. There are links in the description box of whatever channel you're watching on, or a link tree on X. And all the usual avenues are there: PayPal, Venmo, CashApp, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi, Patreon, etc. Thank you, Patreoners. I appreciate you for your donations. Thank you. If you're contributing on Patreon, you rock. But it doesn't look good. And that helplessness that you're talking about, Denver, is I'm telling you, man, it's insidious. It is, you know, it is very easy to feel demoralized. It is very easy to feel, you know, and I feel bad arguing with people about, you know, getting excited for somebody who's speaking at the Fight Oligarchy tour. You know, I don't mean to be like, don't get behind, don't get excited about anybody. I don't want to be that person. But you hear it and you see it everywhere, right? You see people just saying like, government is bad. You can't change the government, and it's all bad. And we need less of it, less government, and less, you know, blah, blah, blah. They can't do anything good for you. You know, oh, God. And then I see constantly stuff about, you know, other governments, China and definitely other governments being able to have like mass transit and trains that run on time and run to every city, and like you don't need a car to get around. Bro, that's government doing that for you. Sorry, the government, you know, like that's what it is. That's what it is. But we cannot expect anything like that from the government right now, because we have been brainwashed. We have been brainwashed. And the people that are even by the people that are supposedly like on the ground, real alternative people. I don't know. Creative says, wherever you go, the empire will find you. Probably. Cyrus says, Tao principle number 7, non-interference. Malcolm says it's simply not about not being eaten at this point. Don't become breakfast, okay? Sure. Let's see. We got a couple more things, and we got a little time. Yeah, Trump did launch a coin, the WorldFi, I guess, coin. over the weekend and shot to a $6 billion market cap.
The Trump family just launched a brand new cryptocurrency. It is called WLFI. Lauren, how much has the Trump family itself accumulated of this? How much?
Yeah, for World Liberty Financial and the
Yes, this should absolutely be illegal. I don't know, and I feel like it is legal already. So there doesn't have to be a law passed or anything. It just needs to be enforced. This is pretty wild. But his sons are behind this, Eric and DJ. Governments are doing a bang up job on climate change. I'm kidding. It is illegal. It's absolutely illegal.
Wall Street Journal says it's $5 billion. So this coin, WLFI, is currently the 33rd largest coin by market cap, about $6 billion worth, according to CoinGecko. The family holds about a quarter of the tokens out there. They can't sell them, but now that the token has launched on the public markets, we have a valuation for it. The Wall Street Journal says this token is the family's most valuable asset, exceeding their property portfolio.
But they can't sell those tokens. They can't do it.
No.
Not yet.
Not yet. Correct. Not yet.
My goodness me. $5 billion?
Eye-popping numbers. He is the crypto president, the first one ever. A lot of crypto-friendly legislation, regulation.
What it amounts to is it's crypto-friendly legislation coming from the president of the United States, who is in turn cashing in on the crypto phase, personally, his family.
Conflict
of interest. Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. Crypto sounds like monopoly money. I mean, when you think of money, all money is monopoly money. It doesn't really matter. It is. It's just made up. It's fiat, like any other, like the US dollar is fiat. It's just the US dollar has way more behind it at the moment, but not for long. Probably not for long. But consider that, it does sound like monopoly money, but consider that it had you held $1,000 for the last 15 years just in the bank and bought $1,000 of Bitcoin 15 years ago, that monopoly money would have made you a shit ton of money, right? Had you invested $1,000 in Bitcoin 15 years ago, you would be a very wealthy man right now. Why are you selling your silver coins this week, Creative? Do you see something that we all don't see? Well, it's interesting too. Remember that video I was talking about, the book talking about how Trump was going to ruin the price of gold? I don't know. It's very interesting. I actually see him, launching this coin. Remember when Trump coin launched on Solana when he first got elected? And Solana is a big network. I think it's the third largest crypto platform right now in the world, but third or fourth. I actually think that he really damaged Solana by doing that. Trump, by launching that coin, it got a lot of people in there, but like it crapped out really quickly and became just another shit coin. And Javier Milei tried to launch a coin on Solana that totally collapsed. And that kind of shit, it erodes the faith of the people in, not only your coin, but the platform it's on, everything about it, right? It makes people very, very jittery when you do stuff like that. And I think he actually hurt the price of Solana by doing that. Like Solana should be at like 300 right now, and it's like hovering around 200. And that, I feel like that's Trump's fault. He screwed that up. So now he's launching this coin on Ethereum, on the Ethereum network, WorldFi. I don't know, man. If this coin craps out, it's not going to be good for Ethereum. It's going to be bad for Ethereum. Mark Mann says no power, no internet, no crypto. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. True story. Yep. When the lights go out, you might not have any crypto. Well, you won't have any crypto until the lights go back on. True story. But that is the risk that people take. And there's a risk in everything, right? People think that there might be risk holding dollars. I don't know. If you've held dollars for a long time as an investment thing, you haven't really done very well. Ethereum and Bitcoin are toast for the next few years. You think so? Why do you say that, Creative? I'm curious to know. Why are Ethereum and Bitcoin toast? Well, while we're on the subject of digital money, maybe I'll end with this one. Whitney Webb talking about the merger of, well, this is a common thread. A common topic of discussion, which is the merger of digital IDs with blockchain technology or CBDCs, and then merging that into a kind of a social credit system, right? Reflect the Sun says Tom Lee, now with Chris Chiavacho, says it's a secular bull market until 2035. Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. Some people think it's going to $1 million in the next, by in the next 5 years. Some people think that we've reached the top of the cycle. I don't know, man. I am not here for financial advice, so I'm just going to say do your best, do your due diligence, and you go with your gut on what you think is going to happen. If you're into that kind of thing. NVIDIA crashes Bitcoin and Ethereum. Why do you say that? Why do you think NVIDIA crashes Bitcoin and Ethereum? Give me your reasoning. Because I don't see how like Bitcoin and Ethereum have been going up on their own. All on their own for the last, however long you want to they've been doing just fine, I think, on their own. Like, I don't know how they're tied to NVIDIA, but I would like to know. Markman says we're not going to be here in 5 years. That is also very, very likely. So it may not even matter, right? Like, take profit, do whatever you want, do the things you want to do. That's sure. The net is closing. Escape the West before they simply abolish the money system, and all this means nothing, and you are stuck with own nothing and be happy. Yeah, for sure. Let's listen to Whitney Webb talk about this.
There's a coordinated global policy push for digital IDs as the new form of government-issued identification credentials. And they're essentially all based on your biometric data, which can be your fingerprints, your face, the iris of your eyeball. And the idea is essentially to collect all of that data and have it housed or have it tied directly to your digital ID. So your physical ID will be mapped to the digital ID. Digital IDs are not really a separate separate project from CBDCs and this new digital financial system. And UN documentation and also documentation from the Bank of International Settlements, they very overtly state that CBDCs and digital IDs are meant to go together. And without digital IDs, the CBDC digital finance system cannot exist. One of the reasons it can't exist without that is because of the KYC functionality built into this digital financial system. They have the know your customer protocols. They have to know who you are. And so they want to have your wallet tied to a digital ID and have that digital ID be mapped to your physical ID through the biometric data collection. So there's different efforts to make digital IDs either as NFTs, non-fungible tokens. There's also the efforts of Sam Altman of OpenAI and his WorldCoin project, whereby you scan your iris, you give them your
That is crazy. Sam Altman's WorldCoin, right? Yeah.
The biometric credentials of your eyeball. They give you a unique identifier, a digital ID, and it's inherently tied to a digital wallet. That is the same model the UN is using. They've already implemented it for refugees getting food assistance from the World Food Program. It's called Building Blocks. It's on blockchain. It involves refugees scanning their irises. And in order to buy food or receive their rations, they have to check out of a grocery store style place in the refugee camp, and they check out biometrically with an eyeball scan, and then the amount of food they have, the monetary value of that is subtracted from their digital wallet connected to their digital ID and their iris. So ID 2020, the UN and other stakeholders in this particular sphere often argue that the reason this is necessary is because of what they call the identity gap. And the identity gap is the claim that the lack of digital ID is preventing people, mainly the world's poor, from accessing essential services, whether it's banking, whether it's education, whether it's healthcare. They claim the only way for these people to be able to access these services is to onboard them to these identity schemes.
Sure. Creative says Bitcoin and Ethereum require NVIDIA chips. Denver is saying the same thing. There will be no more crypto investors. All right. Well, and you think NVIDIA is going down because what? Competition? Because technology will outpace them. I mean, it's a lot of things are shifting right now. So yeah, right. China is pushing out better AI and better tech. U.S. deployed at least 7 ships, a nuclear-powered submarine, and more than 4,500 Marines near Venezuela in recent days. Yeah, we talked about that. We talked about that. I think like a week or two ago. A week ago. My time is very elastic in my brain right now. Like things happen, and I think they're like a really long time ago, and they don't. Seem like they're a long time ago, but they're not. So forgive me. Yeah. All the companies that buy NVIDIA chips for AI and crypto are not profitable without investors propping it up. They can't sustain themselves with consumer demand alone. I agree with that. And it's interesting that Intel investment by the US, by the Trump administration, very, very interesting. And the idea that they're going to invest in other strategic companies, I think, is a way for them to just openly say we're socializing these companies so that they don't. Again, like I said this the other day, they're just going to buffer them from any future economic calamity, right? If we have some kind of huge meltdown in the markets, but the government has a stake, it's kind of like just another angle on During 2008, TARP, I guess, was the program, or the CARES Act, even during COVID. And because they've already done that, and because there's too many eyeballs on the government doing again something like that, like a bailout of all the companies, just to make sure that we don't melt down like completely. If there's another meltdown and the government has 10%, 20%, whatever it is, shares in Lockheed Martin, Intel, Oracle, Nvidia, whatever the company is, if we have a stake in all those companies that we deem strategically important, then we can't let them go down, right? Then it's it's national security. It's not it's not a government bail. It's not government bailing out corporations. We have a stake in these. This is national security. We have to do this. You understand? I feel like that's why they're doing that. That's absolutely why they're doing that. They're trying to end run the meltdown. And there's several ways they're doing that. They're doing that by buying stakes in corporations, strategic corporations. They're doing that through a possible crypto reserve, stablecoin legislation, trying to offload some of the debt into stablecoin and crypto reserves, all kinds of things. They're doing all kinds of things in that regard, while sending troops to Venezuela to go secure some more oil. Like there are several things at play right now. It doesn't really look good. Like none of it looks good. Which is why they're trying to implement, inject AI everywhere that they can, and try and like implement a control grid, more of the control grid before they're trying to outrun the collapse and get like a control grid in place and shore up, monetarily shore up the dollar and somehow avoid the debt. I don't know how they're going to do that, but like they're trying to get ahead of it. They're kind of trying to do all this stuff to get ahead of it. Because if the collapse comes, and it could get really freaking ugly. Putting troops out into the streets, putting troops in major cities. Look what we have here. Oh, it's already National Guard deployed. Troops deployed. How convenient. National security, Soviet socialism doesn't sound good. It doesn't really, George Robson, no. Yeah. All right, guys. I'm gonna have to sign off here. I have got to move on to other things in my day. Thank you for hanging out today. Thanks for being here. No, Poppy, I'm not liking it either. But we'll get back together and talk about it again tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific. You all enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. In the meantime, beware the bear.